You are watching the Cleveland Browns Report by Chat Sports. I am your host, Matthew Peterson, and on today's episode, we're going to run through the latest injury news going into a crucial Week 6 matchup. If the Browns have any chance to salvage this year, it has to start on Sunday with a win in Philly against the Eagles. So with that, let's get to the number one player that everyone wants an update on, and that is running back Nick Chubb, who was limited all of last week at practice, and then, of course, did not play against the Commanders. This week, he has started off limited as well. Zach Jackson indicated that, while it's just a small thing to note, he is fourth in line of all the running backs going through drills on Thursday, but I do think there's some level of meaningfulness behind him being fourth, whereas if he was first, that would definitely indicate the Browns feel like he is ready to go on Sunday. So I will read into this a little bit. But my prediction is we do not see Nick Chubb until Week 7, home against the Bengals. Key word there, home. If I'm Jimmy Haslam, I'm doing everything in my power to avoid being booed at home after what could be a fourth straight loss. And one way to avoid that is to bring out Nick Chubb. The Browns fans out the game and in the dog pound it'd be illegal to boo the Browns if Nick Chubb is running on the field with the offense. So, as petty and as shallow as that may seem to avoid getting booed, I would not put it past the Browns to go, let's give Chubb another week off, and then when we're back home and everyone's pissed off and furious at us, we'll bring out Nick Chubb, and then they'll forget that they're mad at us. So that's where I stand on when we see Chubb. Now, what will we see when Chubb comes back? I'm hoping it's something like these two guys here who had tremendous seasons after tearing their ACL. Adrian Peterson over 2,000 yards, Jamal Charles averaging over 5 yards a pop. But both of those guys played an entire season. Plus, they only had an ACL tear. Chubb is more in this group here in terms of the injury similarities. Multiple torn knee ligaments with Javonte Williams, who was 50% of himself in 2023. J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, who couldn't stay on the field much at all and kept going in and out of the lineup. So I think Chubb, when it comes to comparing running backs, is much closer to Adrian Peterson and Jamal Charles, of course, in terms of like running back tiers. But in terms of injury similarity, he's a lot more like Williams, Dobbins, and Edwards. So he's probably going to land somewhere in the middle, but he's also working with just 2/3 of the season at best. So what I want to know from everyone watching, though, is if the Browns somehow find a way to win this Sunday, as doom and gloom as it feels right now, and Watson bounces back and responds after a horrible Week 5, and then Chubb comes out in Week 7 for a Browns team that is 2-4, you going to buy back in? If this all happens, I'll probably buy him back in. I'm that easy. I am an absolute slut when it comes to buying back in for the Browns. So if this all happens, and that's a big if, I'll probably be back in. I have some other, injury updates, some good news here. Myles Garrett returned to practice. David Njoku, who was not practicing or was limited on Wednesday, he was back on Thursday. So hopefully we can get a full day on Sunday from the Chief, because he was kind of in and out of the lineup on Sunday against the Commies. And then Garrett, who has just been battling an injury, a handful of injuries, Achilles, foot, you name it, pretty much all season long since Week 1. He appears to be getting closer and closer to 100%, which is great to see. If the Browns are going to salvage something this year, it really comes down to two things. One, a complete 180 from Deshaun Watson. That is paramount above all else, because while the blocking hasn't been good and the receivers haven't been great, there are just one too many instances and moments where Watson just either doesn't throw the ball to an open receiver or he doesn't put it on the money. And then after that, got to get healthy, because, yes, we need Watson to be better, but we saw in the Raiders game, for example, when Watson did play very well, it's useless if Amari Cooper can't catch a football and it turns into an interception and a 10-point swing, arguably, and that would have been the difference maker in the game. I also just want to give a little bit of optimism and hope with the New York Mets on their run right now. It's worth reminding everyone, they started off the year 0-5. They were 24-35 after the first third and quarter of the season. So if they were able to turn it around and get hot at the end, why can't the Brownies? I mean, It's a little bit different when you have 162 games. That gives you a lot longer of a runway to right some wrongs, whereas 17 games, every game feels like a week in baseball. So not quite apples to apples, but I'm going to take this and use it to give me at least a little bit of hope, which I will no doubt be crushed and just completely wiped away with. Now, before we look at the rest of the injury news on today's episode, I do want to fill everyone in on our terrific sponsor today, which is GameTime. GameTime is a new feature called GameTime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. GameTime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app today and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off. There's so many terrific features with GameTime, like the GameTime Guarantee, where if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, GameTime will credit you 110% of the difference. Download GameTime today. What time is it? Game time. I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. So we talked about 3 injured players so far. How about a few more? Pocic, Hudson, Denzel Ward, Grant Delpit, Ronnie Hickman. 5 starters that were not able to practice on Thursday, which does not put them in a good spot to be available on Sunday. So if we look at the offensive line and what it should look like when healthy, but it hasn't been that this year. If you don't have Pocic, you've got Nick Harris starting at center. We'll see if Jack Conklin could return at right tackle this week, and DeJuan Jones could go back to being the 6th man on the offensive line, the swing tackle, and hopefully Jed Wills can stay at left tackle and just get better and better as the season goes along. And then as for the DBs, if you don't have Denzel Ward, well then Martin Emerson and Greg Newsome, who have not had a terrific season so far, become your 2 outside corners, and we see Cam Mitchell play more of that Greg Newsome nickel role. With Juan Thornhill still on IR right now, if there's no Delpit, we're looking at, and no Hickman, we're looking at Rodney McLeod, DeAnthony Bell as your 2 starting safeties, and then probably calling up a safety from the practice squad. So the back end's going to be very banged up, it looks like, this week. Thornhill still battling a calf injury. He could have come off IR this week. Haven't seen that happen yet, so not counting on that happen for Sunday. And then with Delpit in concussion protocol, not a good chance he plays on Sunday if he's still in it on Thursday, but we'll see. And now Hickman not practicing as well, which is a big bummer because he has kind of been that second safety or the next safety, the first one off the bench ever since Thornhill went down. We're going to cover some more news in just a moment, but I do ask for those of you that are not subscribed to the channel, consider doing so. It is completely free, and I'm trying to get to our next half milestone, 37,500 subscribers before kickoff on Sunday. So I need 183 people to subscribe that have not already. If you are already subscribed, really appreciate you hanging out with us. Hit that thumbs up button, and we'll see you guys on Sunday for our watch party. As for the Philadelphia Eagles, let's talk about what's going on in their camp. They are coming off a bye, a very early bye, like the Browns last year, and this bye came at a pretty good time for Philly. They had just lost a game in Tampa to the Bucs. They were really banged up. They didn't have A.J. Brown. They didn't have Devontae Smith, who got a concussion. Lane Johnson dealing with a concussion. All 3 of these players were full participants at practice on Wednesday and Thursday, so they are definitely in great shape to play on Sunday against the Browns. So a bit of a break for Philly to get all their star players back after the bye. Not so lucky for the Browns, but it's the NFL. Every team has injuries. Every team has guys going in and out of the lineup. Comes down to preparation and coaching and next man up mentality. Now, like I said, the Eagles coming off a bye. Not terrific because Nick Sirianni is 3-0 as the Eagles head coach off the bye. So clearly he seems to have some level of a winning recipe and formula for what to do during their week off so no one loses focus and they don't come out flat the next week. Hopefully, though, Stefanski kind of end that run of Sirianni's. So predict the score for me, though. Browns versus Eagles. Scroll on down to the comment section. Let me know. I have picked the Browns to win every single week this year. I am, like the Browns, 1-4 in doing so. So I feel obligated to pick the Eagles. The only thing that by kickoff on Sunday I will use to talk myself into the Browns having a slight chance is this is the NFL. You're never as good as you think you are, and you're never as bad as you think you are. And everyone's on the Eagles right now. The entire country's picking Philadelphia. Whenever everyone's in on something, what happens? You get week 2 Atlanta Falcons beating the Eagles on Monday Night Football. So maybe the Browns use this as major motivation to go out there and save their season. Before we sign off, I want to show some love to the Brown and Orange Club. Tim Green, Mike Dibble, Jeremy Stallman, Slow But Sure, David Botner, Jared Brandt, James Harper, Papa T, Joseph DePorte, Mike, Ray Bidding, Dr. No, Eli Green, John Porter, Scorpion, Max T, Jacob Bate, Drunk and Honky. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. For everyone that watches us, really appreciate you for being such huge instrumental pieces in the growth of this channel. It does not go unrecognized. Every single night before I go to sleep, the last thing I do is peek on my YouTube Studio app, look at the comment section, see what you guys are saying. So I really do appreciate it, and I do notice everyone who supports the channel. We're going to let you guys get on with the rest of your day. Enjoy your weekend. I'm going to be in Knoxville this weekend, but I will be back on Sunday, of course. Looking forward to my 5:30 a.m. flight out of McGee Tyson Airport. And we'll be back for the watch party on Sunday. So hopefully no big news breaks on Saturday when I'm at the game. Go Vols, go Browns, and I'll see you all later.